for those of you who might have been at Hershey and missed class, or for those of you who are in class and just needed an extra review, I'm going to be going over page 31. So, if you turn to page 31, this is an excellent review. Number 1 is simplify root 4 over 3 minus root 5. Okay, now, to simplify this, we will need to rationalize the denominator. And when you rationalize the denominator when there's a binomial with a radical, you multiply by the conjugate. In this case, the conjugate, it's the same numbers, but connected by a different sign. So I'm going to multiply by 3 plus root 5. Now, root 4 is simply 2. So, I'm going to multiply 2 by 3 plus root 5. When I do that, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 root 5. Now, when you multiply by the conjugate, it's like the difference of squares. Square the first, 9, minus the square of the second. Root 5 times root 5 is 5, so this is 9 minus 5. So this becomes 6 plus 2 root 5 all over 4. Now, this can be simplified. And this can be simplified because you will notice there is something up here that I can factor out. I can factor out a 2. So this becomes 2, 3 plus root 5, all over 4. And because I was able to pull it out, I am able to cross it out. So I'm going to divide both by 2, and this is the final answer. 3 plus root 5 over 2. Now, let's look at number 2. Number 2 is root 8 all over 2 root 7 plus 4 root 10. Now the first thing I like to do is simplify anything that they've given you that's already not simplified. Root 8 can be written as 2 root 2. So right away I'm going to write that as 2 root 2. Now I'm going to multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. And I use the same numbers, but connected by a different operation. So since this was plus, this will be minus. So I have to multiply the top by 2 root 7 minus 4 root 10. Okay, so 2 times 2 is 4. I get 4 root 14 on top, minus 8 root 20. And this is all over 4 times 7 is 28, minus 16 times 10 is 160.
So far. She'll write a problem, I just want to make sure you're good.
Okay. So this ended up being root 14 minus 2 root 20 all over 28 minus 160 is 132. Now the 4 and the 132 can cancel out. 4 goes in 33 times. So I have root 14 minus 2 root 20 all over 33. But there's still an issue. The issue is root 20 is not simplified. So this would be 2 root 4 times root 5. That becomes 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So it's root 14 minus 4 root 5 all over 33. And actually this is negative 33. Sorry, because when I did 28 minus 160, it's negative. Okay? So for here, we start out by multiplying by the conjugate. Remember, when you multiply, numbers multiply numbers, and when you multiply with the conjugate, you square the first, you square the last. 2 root 7 times 2 root 7 is 2 times 2, and root 7 times root 7. 2 times 2 is 4, root 7 times root 7 is 7. 4 times 7 is 28. Now, let's look at number 3. Okay. Number 3, 3 root 45 plus 4 root 80 minus 2 root 125. So my goal here is to make all of these radicals simplified. So first I'm going to simplify these radicals. Root 45 has a 9 and a 5. Root 80 has a 16 and a 5. And root 125 has 25 and 5. So this becomes 3 times 3. This becomes 4 times 4. This becomes 5, 2 times 5. So I have 9 root 5 plus 16 root 5 minus 10 root 5. That's 25 root 5 minus 10. The answer is 15 root 5. So I can combine, I can add and subtract radicals when they have the same radicand. Sometimes it appears at the beginning that they don't have the same radicand, but once you simplify them, they do. Now, number 4. 5 root 10 plus 4 root 2 times 2 root 5 minus 5. So this is just for practice, because when you're rationalizing your denominators, a lot of times you have to multiply. So we're just practicing multiplying. Now, when I do 5 root 10 times 2 root 5, remember it becomes 5 times 2 times root 10 times root 5. That becomes 10 root 50. First, outside, minus 25 root 10, because 5 multiplies the 5, and the root 10 stays there. Inside, 4 times 2 is 8. Root 2 times root 5 is root 10. And minus 20 root 2. Okay, so now I look and see which ones can be simplified. Well, these can be combined. This can be simplified. So this becomes 10 root 25 times root 2. Root 25 is 5. 10 times 5. So this is 50 root 2. And there's a 20 root 2. And negative 25 plus 8 becomes negative 17 root 10. I add these together, I get 30 root 2 minus 17 root 10. Okay. Now, number 5 is similar to those that we've done in class. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, this is simplified, this is not. I can write this as root 1 over root 7, and then rationalize it by multiplying it by root 7 or root 7, and I get root 7 over 7. So now I have root 7 plus root 7 over 7. Well, this is really root 7 over 1. If I want to make this have a common denominator with root 7 over 7, I'd have to multiply the top and the bottom by 7. So I get 7 root 7 over 7 plus 1 root 7 over 7, and that equals 8 root 7 over 7. Okay, now, number 6 again is just practicing multiplying. So I have 3 root 2 times 2 root 18 plus 4 root 3. When I multiply, number multiplies number. 3 times 2 is 6. Radical multiplies radical. Root 2 times root 18 is root 36. Plus 12 times root 6. Root 6, root 36 simplifies to 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Plus 12 root 6. So that becomes 36 plus 12 root 6. Then, number 7 is 4 plus root 5 times 4 minus root 5. Well, these are conjugates. So I square the first, 16 minus 5 equals 11. Because 4 root 4 is 4 times 4 is 16, minus 4 root 5 plus 4 root 5, so they cancel out. Minus root 5 times root 5 is 5. Okay, so that is page 31. This is what you missed if you went to Hershey.